But first to that breaking news, Matt Canavan will challenge Nationals leader David Littleproud for his job. The Australian is reporting in the last hour that Senator Canavan will make the challenge in a party room meeting in Canberra on Monday. And I'll ask Nationals MP Kevin Hogan about this shortly. And look, politics is messy, and clearly this is no exception. And the coalition will next week decide what its future looks like, who will lead, and how it will win back voters and how it will inspire them. But this is a coalition that needs to sort itself out, and pretty quickly, because it was given a very clear warning on Saturday. It's time to cut the factional crap and get on with it, or face being in the political wilderness for years. So I want to break it down into three areas of how this is playing out. Firstly, starting with the leadership of the Liberal Party. Now, on Tuesday, the Liberal Party room will vote to elect a new leader. Deputy Opposition Leader Susan Lee has finally confirmed today that she will put her hand up.
I've listened, we got it wrong. We need to do things differently going forward, and we do need a fresh approach. So, on Tuesday morning, when the Liberal Party room meets in Canberra, I will be putting myself forward for the position of leader of the Federal Party.
Now, look, I don't think that Susan Lee is particularly the most effective communicator. I don't think she cut through during the campaign, but she has the highest profile in the party, having served as deputy. And she can certainly be moulded as a mother and as a grandmother, and perhaps portray a softer side than what the party was able to do with Peter Dutton. She is a great local MP, but on a broader scale, I'm not convinced. But the party's left faction wants her in there, and maybe it's not hard to see why.
Susan, are you aware of the term the glass cliff? For everyone at home, that term means a woman is given a senior position where the risk of failure is high.
I'm putting my hand up, Nat. I'm determined and convinced that I am the right person to lead the party forward at this time. And I think my appointment would send a strong signal to the women of Australia.
Now, look, it would be of the detriment to the Liberal Party to put a woman in for the sake of being a woman. And as a woman, I actually find that insulting. Susan Lee, if victorious, should be handed the role on merit, on her own merit, not because of her gender. And I do think that the party has an issue with getting women to vote for them. Earlier this year, women strongly favoured the coalition, but by the end of April, that had blown up. The coalition's lead among female voters reversed from 51 to 49 in January to 46 to 54 in favour of Labor just a week out from the poll. And largely, this had to do with the work from home policy. But it's not about more female representation or moving to the centre, both of which are a disaster because, in my view, moderates cannot win government. And the more you raise the gender card, the more you stray away from conservative values, and you may as well be the Labor Party with quotas. It's about a strong, cohesive policy platform reflecting those values. And I'm not yet convinced that Susan Lee is the one to get the party back on track. Now, she'll go up against Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor, who has also confirmed today that he will run.
This moment demands experience, energy and a plan. Australians want more than opposition. They want a real alternative, one that understands them, one that earns back their trust. I'm standing for leader to make sure we're ready. Let's regroup, rebuild and get back in the fight.
Now, look, he's a smart man. He's a Rhodes Scholar. He understands the economy, but he too has made multiple errors during the campaign when it came to selling the opposition's economic policy or lack thereof. And the biggest bungle was opposing Labor's tax cuts, a move which became a free kick for Labor. And honestly, I'm not sure how either candidate will cut through over the next 3 years. In saying that, Peter Dutton was touted as the unwinnable pick. And up until early this year, he managed to cut through with voters when the polls were in his favour. So where does this leadership decision leave the party? Well, to my second point, enter the star factor, Jacinta Price. Her defection from the Nationals to the Liberal Party is a stroke of genius. This is a woman who is a born leader and one of the only voices of common sense. She single-handedly helped get the no vote in the Voice to Parliament referendum over the line. She loves this country, does not seek to divide us by the colour of our skin, even in the face of backlash from members of the Indigenous community. Jacinta Price wants to make Australia great again, and God forbid a politician with the guts to make this country great again and to say it out loud. So perhaps the light bulb moment for the Liberals has come sooner than expected. Now, there are suggestions she will run on a unity ticket with Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor as his deputy. And gee, what a nightmare for the moderates in the Liberal Party, and with good reason, because Labor light does not win elections. And if they want to keep going to the left, then they may as well be in the wilderness for years. Jacinta Price could just well be the great reset that this party needs. Which brings me to my third point. Where does this leave the coalition? It's messy. And this reaction to Jacinta Price's defection says it all.
The Liberal Party has got a lot of deep thinking to do. We wish them well with that, but they shouldn't be seeking to damage us in the process of trying to rebuild themselves.
Do you feel betrayed by this?
As I said earlier, Pete, loyalty is a rare commodity in politics, but it's an essential one. And out in the bush, it's worth everything.
She's done damage to her own reputation with her colleagues, damage to her reputation with the people that worked for her. And it's the kind of thing that Lydia Thorpe did. How is what Jacinta's doing any different from what Lydia did? In fact, it's worse than Lydia. Lydia at least had a policy disagreement. Why don't you have the guts to say that to the people last week, before they voted?
Now, look, the Nationals could lose its major party status in the Senate because of her defection, and its upper house numbers will be reduced to 4. And I've got to say, there's no doubt the Nationals are actually propping up the coalition right now. The Nats did broadly well on Saturday, other than, of course, Nationals Deputy Leader Perrin Davies' failure to win re-election. But Nationals leader David Littleproud didn't seem to rule out a split when asked on radio this morning.
No, Chair, and we're not contemplating anything at the moment. Well, we're not contemplating anything at the moment. Every time, and this was contemplated every time, but the primacy of our party room determined that. And that's after we sit down with whoever the leadership of the Liberal Party is, and we work through those matters.
There's an opportunity for the country, for our coalition, for the Nationals Party to run in more seats.
All right.
So look, if that leads to us breaking up, great, fine.
Yeah, and as we know, those two men are now about to go up against each other in a leadership challenge on Monday. And this is not the time for disunity, especially as we face another 3 years of Labor, a party which has already left us broken backwards, divided, now in $1 trillion of debt, more exposed than ever on the defence front, plunged into darkness with a broken renewables system and in the lurch for the future. All under Anthony Albanese, who is a weak leader and lacks any moral fibre to take this country forward. We know he's proven himself as a dud, and we face an uncertain 3 years ahead. If this coalition wants to win elections and actually make Australia great again, that public sledging has to stop, because the fight is against Labor. Now, both party room meetings are next week, and one thing is for sure, get your popcorn ready.